the sound effect, and we are here in Ybor City in Tampa, Florida with Jeff Scott Soto. Jeff, thank you so much for doing this interview with us today.
My pleasure. Ybor City. Now, why not just call it Tampa, or why not just call it Ybor City? Why both? I'm putting you on the spot.
Basically, this is Ybor City, but it's located in the Tampa vicinity, in the Tampa Bay area.
I confuse everybody with the same thing.
Yeah.
When they say L.A., it's like, you're not in L.A., you're in Calabasas. I'm like, it's part of L.A.
Yeah, we do the same thing, you know, even over in Pinellas County and stuff. So, you're playing tonight at the Orpheum, and you've got your solo project, Soto, that you're playing with, correct?
It's not my solo project. My solo project is Jeff Scott Soto. Soto is a band. It basically stemmed from these guys were in my solo touring band as hired guns, and then when I turned it into a band and we branded it and called it Soto, I basically just merged the whole thing into making it a band. I don't look at it as a solo thing. The guys are very involved. We treat this for all intents and purposes as a band. They're producing the album with me. They're writing the songs with me. All the decisions, everything. It's just my name on the marquee, pretty much.
Yeah, I got you. Well, you're the big name, so I mean, you've done a lot of different projects. You've worked with Yngwie, Malmsteen. You've been on tour with Journey. You did the Rockstar soundtrack. How did that come about, by the way?
The Rockstar thing was a long association with Tom Werman, the producer, who was actually retired at that time. They dragged him out of retirement for the movie soundtrack, and I'd done like 5 or 6 albums with him singing backing vocals. And we always vowed we wanted to work together with him producing me as a lead singer. This was our opportunity. So he kind of threw my name in the mix, and Zach Wilde and all the other guys in the band said, hell yeah, let's get Jeff, and it came together for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I've seen you on tour with Trans-Siberian Orchestra several times. You always do a phenomenal job on that. How did that come about?
Well, like most of the things I do, they're by association with the people that I've actually worked with or known for a long time. And that being said, was Al Petrelli, who is the musical director there. Yeah. And I knew Al from his days with Alice Cooper and Widowmaker back in the 80s and 90s. Right. So I just so happened to be out of Journey, like maybe a month or two, and my name got dropped to his boss, or our boss, Paul O'Neill, about my voice. Paul was looking for a singer for the latest album they were working on, which was Night Castle, and he basically was quizzing Al. Do you think he could do this? Could he do that? Al said he can do anything. Nice. And they flew me out to Tampa, and after 6-hour conversation and 15 minutes in front of a microphone, I got the gig.
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah. Paul O'Neill had an amazing vision with this whole thing, and to see it come to fruition after 20 some odd years of just an idea in his head, it truly is a phenomena of what they've been able to turn this into.
Yeah, well, I'm good friends with all the guys in Sabotage, and John Oliva and Zach and everybody, Johnny Lee Middleton, Chris. We did an interview with Doc recently and stuff. So I saw them when that whole thing started, and the whole time it just came to fruition and stuff. So it was really cool to see you be a part of that as well. So.
Well, and knock on wood, it's been a good run for me. They've welcomed me into the family, and I just completed my 11th tour with them. So it's pretty amazing.
Bunch of great guys.
Great guys, great people to work with and work for. So I'm blessed to be a part of that whole machine.
So I mean, you've been on tour a lot. I mean, at this point, I mean, how long have you been a musician? I mean, how long have you been singing?
Professionally, I'm going to go back to saying, when I got the Yngwie gig, I'm going to say that's when my professional career began. That's 1984. We're talking about 35 years ago.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
So who would you say are some of your biggest influences?
Well, it's a wide range. I mean, I'm not the traditional genre-ridden person. You don't know who I listen to. You don't know who I'm influenced by. The majority of the stuff that I've done musically. I grew up totally into Motown and R&B, soul music and all that. As a kid, I didn't even like rock until much later in life. And it was, as I was a teenager, I started finally getting into Priest and Maiden and stuff like that, Van Halen especially, that it opened my eyes to be able to take the kind of the influences and the inspirations I had as a young singer into what I was doing on the rock front. Again, you're not going to hear the Temptations influence in I'm a Viking. Of course not. You're right. But for the most part, I always try to inject the different sides of me musically, and that's one of the glorious things about being either a solo artist or being at the stage of my life now. I'm able to pretty much do what I do as opposed to trying to find a niche or something else that somebody has already created, and I get away with it. It's great.
Very cool. Now, do you play any instruments? I mean, any other instruments?
I dabble on guitar and keyboards just for the sake of songwriting, but I'm more embarrassed to show how bad I am on stage, so I just stick with a microphone.
So, what have you got going on with Soto? You got a new album coming out, correct?
Yes, sir. We just we just mastered the album like a week and a half ago. It's called Origami, and it's coming out on the same label as Sons of Apollo. It's a label called Inside Out Music, Century Media Records. So the album is done, coming out in May, and
Excellent.
what we're doing here is a bit of a little warm-up stint before we go on the Monsters of Rock cruise in a few days.
Nice.
And we're taking a few months off, and we'll hit the road, I guess, right around May, right when the album's coming out. It's mainly going to be in South America and Europe, but we're trying to expand on that. You know, we've got a new label, a whole new lease on life for the band, new bass player. Sadly, rest in peace, we lost our bass player almost 2 years ago, Dave Z. So it kind of took us a bit to retool and kind of restructure where we were going in direction and songs. And obviously we had to mourn. We had to get over the loss of our brother and then make that decision of who's going to actually step in his place.
So with all the different projects that you've worked with over the years, you know, you get some pretty big names there with Journey and Trans-Siberian Orchestra and Yngwie Malmsteen. What would you say is your favorite project that you've ever been involved in?
All of them.
Good answer.
It's easier to answer that way because, again, as I said, I have so many different influences, and I don't always get to flex my muscles with every single one of them. But because I have so many to draw from, I get to flex my muscles that I can't do with this band, with that one, or with that one, with this one, then that. You know,
Right.
there's so many different places I can actually feel like I'm complete as an artist. And a lot of people give my drummer from Sons of Apollo, Mike Portner, a lot of slack because he's doing like 70 other bands.
Right.
But he does it for the same reason.
Drummer, yeah.
He does it for the same reason. He was I don't want to say stereotyped or pigeonholed, but he kind of was Dream Theater's drummer for so long.
Yeah.
People didn't know what else he could do, or nobody really cared about what else he could do. He cared so much that now he's able to spread his wings and show everybody, I can do this, I can do that. I want to do this, I want to do that. One of the reasons why he's doing so much, one of the reasons I've always done so much.
Yeah, that makes good sense as an artist because you do tend to get pigeonholed by the media and by other people and fans because that's what they listen to, but yet as an artist, you definitely, everybody's got diverse tastes in music.
Absolutely, and it's the easiest way to kind of round that topic up is back in the day when we had CD players. You know, you had a CD magazine. You can only fit 6 or 12, or when you got the bigger ones, you got put 40 CDs. Wow, you can actually carry 40 CDs when you travel.
Right.
Now you got an iPod or an iPhone that you can have thousands of songs. You can store that thing with as many different albums. You look at anybody's iPhones or iPods today and look at the diversity that they travel with. That's going to tell you what they actually listen to growing up. It's not going to just be their genre of the music that they actually play, they perform. You're going to see everything from ABBA to Metallica on my playlist.
Yeah, nice. So out of all the tours that you've done, because obviously you've toured around the world and you've done some pretty big stages, what would you say is your favorite show or venue that you've ever played?
Oh, that is a tough one. Probably the only I'll add to the fact that it was the only time I was actually nervous in a long time since I started this. I mean, even with Yngwie, I wasn't as nervous as I was when Trans-Siberian Orchestra played at the Wacken Festival in Germany.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
Imagine playing, it's one thing to play in front of 75,000 people. But, you know, as an artist, if you get that chance and you're lucky to have that opportunity, you just absorb it, you soak it in, and you love every moment of it. But we were literally playing 2 stages simultaneously. One stage had TSO, the other stage had Sabotage, and we were locked in. There was no monitors, there's anything that you can dream of that could give us a cue to if somebody was, you know, a cutoff and all that. It's impossible to get it right, dead set on the actual time. There's always going to be a delay. So the idea of locking those 2 bands up in front of 75,000 people was petrifying.
I could imagine. I've seen some footage of that, and it was just a spectacular show.
Yeah.
I really wish I could have gone to that one. That would have been really, really awesome. So what would you say was probably your worst venue or show that you ever played?
Or experience for that matter.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's probably coming up soon. No, not tonight. That's one I really have to think about. I mean, I don't really. The only time I really have any bad gigs is if I'm sick and there's no chance of canceling it.
Yeah.
Or
Understandable.
I'm doing a gig that I'm not completely prepared for, and I'm going up there stumbling on lyrics and all that. I'm not a I forgot the fucking words, man, kind of guy. I want everything. I want people to walk away going, man, that dude's badass.
Right.
And if you have any stuff ups, if your voice is not 100% there, you naturally are not going to feel like you've given 1,000%. So I'm sure somewhere along the way that I could pinpoint. There was a show we did on the last Soto tour in the U.S. in Pittsburgh. I had pneumonia, and show must go on. We amended the set based on what I could pull off, and even that was just impossible. But the people stuck through it. They didn't, they hailed me. They praised me for not canceling. A lot of people came from far distances, but it was hell for me.
Yeah, I bet. So how did you get the Journey gig?
That was, again, my association through Neil Sean. And obviously, even while we were writing or doing rehearsals, we would toy around with Journey songs. I would basically show off my vast knowledge of their catalog and even B-sides and all that. And he pretty much said, geez, this guy, he can do them all.
Nice.
Yeah.
And that's, when that time came, when they didn't really have any choice, they didn't have any time to go back home and retool and start auditioning singers, Neil said, Jeff can do it. With whatever resistance they had, he said, Jeff is the only one that can do it. So either we go home now or he's coming on the road. And that's pretty much how.
That's some pretty good support.
But then I still had to step up.
Yeah. Well, you did good. I actually saw that tour, so it was fantastic.
That was a dream. It was a lot of fun to do, and it's unfortunate it ended the way it did. But in the end, I have no regrets on that. I thought it was a fantastic opportunity, and I love singing all those songs.
Yeah, that's great.
So, another thing, I mean, with all the different influences you have and all the different things that you've done, think about this for a minute. If you could be in a band and play with any player, live or dead, who would you play with? Who would the band consist of? I mean, you can have any different genres. I mean, who would be super band for you?
I've pretty much answered that question with different people through the years, through the decades. I've been asked that question so many times. And it changes all the time. And if I got to be frank, my dream bands are the two that I'm actually fronting right now, Soto and Sons of Apollo.
Nice.
I couldn't top either one with anybody.
That's the best answer you could possibly give, really.
Absolutely.
Very cool, very cool.
Great. So we're really looking forward to seeing you tonight. Is there anything else you want to tell everybody? Like, where can they check out your music and stuff, your website and all?
Yeah, I mean, you can basically link anything I'm doing, Soto or Sons of Apollo, to just jeffscottsoto.com. Obviously, the Facebook, Instagram, social media stuff is all under Jeff Scott Soto. I don't think there are too many imitators out there. I'm sure you'll be able to find which one is me. So, But for the most part, it's the social media thing is the best place to get all the information. And, and jeffscottsoto.com.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Jeff. Appreciate your time, man.
Guys.
Thank you for doing this interview. We are The Sound Effect. This is Jeff Scott Soto. Thank you for watching. Tune in next time. Have a great night.
All right.
Thanks, brother.
Cool, man.